beautiful people? Welcome to Pretty Girl Loves Trap content. This is my recap slash review of Atlanta season 3, episode 3, The Old Man and the Tree, y'all. This episode was pretty funny. It was kind of all over the place, but hey, this is Atlanta. We have to expect the unexpected. And yeah, they gave us something very interesting, okay? So we have, the crew. We have Earn, Darius, Paperboy, aka Alfred, and Van, aka Vanessa. They're walking, on the streets, what have you. And apparently they are going to this billionaire's house, okay? He was one of their first investors. And yeah, Ern was like, well, you need to start, knowing some rich people, Alfred, okay? You got some good ideas. But yeah, you don't need to have a Shark Tank situation. All you need is some people with some money to put behind your ideas, okay? So they finally reached the address, and it looks like a little abandoned, situation. So they're like, this ain't no billionaire's house. So they open the door and they get greeted by this rude woman. And so Will comes to the door, and that's, Ern's contact. And so, of course, he greets the crew, and so he was like, okay, let's, follow me. So they proceed to go through this like abandoned looking trap house, which, they're looking like, where are we? And so they kind of go through like the second or third level, and then they go through a trap door, and they are, greeted into this beautiful space. It's definitely, millionaire vibes. Okay. Definitely could be on, $1 million listing or one of those, bougie real estate shows. Okay. So yeah, that was a decoy house that they went through. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, how many people over there doing that? Like, that was smart, okay? And so they get greeted by the billionaires, actually Fernando, okay? And so Fernando, he's one of those guys. He's kind of, eccentric, and yeah, he's very interesting, okay? But yeah, apparently Nando's is a popular restaurant over there, and Alfred and Darius are very impressed. They have their own Nando's inside of this dwelling and what have you. So they're like, okay, we're gonna go eat, okay. Meanwhile, Vanessa over there getting the drinks because they got hors d'oeuvres and everything passing by. And your girl is stealing artifacts, okay? She's sneaking all of things into her purse and her pocket. So your boy Ern is just like peeping her out, like, Lord, I hope she don't get caught doing this ratchetness. Like, you can't be stealing these people's houses. Like, I'm sure they got cameras, okay? And so Ern is talking to Will, okay? Will, seems like he's partnering or, just an associate of Fernando. And so, excuse me, guys, I apologize. So, yeah, he's like, okay, well, I have some investment ideas. So yeah, I'm gonna run some things by you. But I have like a little artist I want you to meet. His name is TJ. So Ern asked Vanessa if she wanted to go with, and she agreed. Okay. Meanwhile, after they get their Nando's, your boy, Paperboy, he, meets up with Fernando. He was like, hey, like, there's a lot of people up in here. Like, what are you doing? He was pretty much saying, like, hey, I used to keep my house closed up, but what use does that do? So I decided to allow influencers around the world to be able to share ideas for the betterment of the world. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So he was pretty much like, hey, like, do you want to see some trees? So of course, Albert thinking about weed, okay? So he goes into like the little backyard and he was actually a tree. It's apparently the oldest tree in the country. And he pretty much built his house around this tree. So of course your boy Alfred was disappointed. But Fernando was like, okay, if you wanted to smoke, you can go to the poker room. It's free smoking up in there. Okay, like I'm good over there. Like he was like, okay, that's all you had to tell me. And I ate good, and now I can go ahead and smoke. So, he is on cloud nine, okay? And so Darius, he's over there mingling on his own, and he was trying to get some alcohol, but this woman was in the way. So he was like, excuse me. And she's all like ahead of herself, and was like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm taking, okay? So she shows him her ring. And he was like, "No, I'm just trying to get the the gin and juice over here, girl. Like, calm down. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, black men usually, hit on me, okay?" And he was like, "Oh, okay, I can understand that. It's got a lot of good exchange of a culture is going on, okay?" But they, kind of laugh it off and kind of bond a little bit because she did spend some time in the US. So this dude comes after she leaves. His name is Socks, okay? And he was like, "Bro, like, that was real racist of her." So, Darius playing it off. He was like, "No, it's all right. I'm cool." But he was like, "Nah, I got you, bro." And I'm like, "Socks, what you about to do?" It's always somebody somewhere trained to go and cause some confusion and drama, child. Whew. So we see Ern and Vanessa and Will, okay? They meet TJ. TJ is a low key like fake artist, okay? He's showing his artwork and he was like, "You want to see one of my prized possessions?" So it ends up being a Caucasian man in a Supreme sweater and a hat with no pants. Excuse me, y'all. Where they do that at? Where do they do that at? Okay. And I'm like, yeah, that's not artwork, sir. But I guess it's all relative, okay? If that's art to him, child, okay? And so Paperboy he makes his way to the poker room, okay? And so they proceed to tell him, like, okay, it's a 20K buy-in. And he was like, "Oh, okay." So he hesitated a little bit. I was like, "Okay, Paperboy, you go on and go, like, leave. Like, that's kind of steep." So y'all, he went again and got, the old book bag. The rappers got the book bags, but the cash and what have you. So, he was stunting. He was like 5, 10, 15, 20, ain't nothing to a G. So they was impressed. I was like, "Okay, paper boy, you seem to be doing your thing." But I did hear overseas does pay better than the US when it comes to artists and performances. So that's probably why, okay? So the guy, Will, he's pretty much asking Ern about his whole investment idea. Long story short, he's wanting to, of course, have an incubator, if you will, for influencers for them to bounce ideas off each other. And so TJ chimes in weirdly. He was like, "Well, yeah, because they're gonna like pay for subscriptions." And Ern was like, "Subscriptions for what?" He was like, "The art." And Ern was like, "This trash art, ain't nobody trying to pay for that." But he didn't say that. But he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna see what Doja Cat got going on because she may be doing something similar." But Ern is not feeling this idea, okay? And we back at the poker room, okay? And yeah, your boy Fernando is telling all the weird stories about a African American ghost that was ashy and wet, and they shared a connection. And so yeah, it was all a lot going on, okay? And yeah, your boy Paperboy was not feeling it, okay? But he did kind of Fernando was saying some low key deep stuff. He was saying, "Hey, there's good and evil in the world, and they're both trying to balance each other out." I was like, "Okay, that's true, that's true." So Paperboy ends up winning the hands, and yeah, he wins 40K. Well, his money back plus 20K. And so your boy Fernando was like, "Dang, you wiped me out." So he proceeds to get up and walk off. And so the other two gentlemen at the table, ever so politely, both kind of followed suit. So he was like, he gonna get my money, right?" And so the dudes was like, "I ain't got nothing to do with that." I was like, "Wow. That's what you're doing, stealing from people in your own house, Fernando? Okay." So Darius, y'all, he over there with a crowd of, Wahite people, okay? And so they are just all astonished by this whole racist situation. And he's really trying to diffuse it because he's like, "Y'all, it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep." But of course, they're all just really just it's hilarious. Okay, they're really making a big deal out of this, and it's hilarious that Darius is really trying to like calm it down. All right. And so you see Paperboy up in this house. Okay, he is trying to find Fernando. Okay, because he wants all of his bread. Fernando is nowhere to be found. All right. And so he meets up with Ern, and Ern was like, voicing his opinions about this whole investment thing. And, he was like, "Well, if I decide, to tell them that it's a good idea, then it's going to make it harder for people who actually have talent to get recognized and get support." And Paperboy was like, "Well, white people do it all the time, okay? Like, they scamming all the time. If he want to spend his money on us, let him do it." So Ern was like, "Oh, you kind of have a little point." So TJ comes up in the conversation. He just a little creeper around the whole neighborhood, always on his phone and whatnot. And so he was telling Ern like, "Hey, we got a deal, right?" And Ern was like, "Hey, if he want to pay for our culture, let him do it, okay? Because he want to use us." So I was like, "Well, he kind of have a point there, y'all." So we see Vanessa over there. She wilding out. I don't know if she drunk or what, but she randomly throwing people, well, pushing people in the pool. People got drinks and serving people. I'm like, "Oh, that's rude, man. Like, girl, you're not being a good guest." But yeah, I guess she's trying to have some fun. She having a little YOLO moment. But her and Ern kind of shared this little look, and I'm like, are y'all gonna get back together? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like at the end of the season, they probably gonna try to reconnect, y'all. What do you guys think about that? So her and Ern kind of, have a conversation. He was like, "Yeah, I talked to your moms because her mom is actually babysitting their child." He was like, "Yeah, she told me, she's a little worried about you." She was like, "I'm good. I did get, the job that I originally wanted, but I'm just here just as a vacation, honestly. Like, I'm straight up in here. Like, I deserve a little break, right?" He was like, "Yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right." So she walks off and pushes another person in the pool. I'm like, Lord, I hope these people get swim. That ain't cool. I low key almost drowned on myself. Like, I got PTSD. All right. So Darius, he's in a bigger sea of white people, okay? And they are all just really frustrated about this whole situation. So, MK actually comes near the room, and Darius sees her, and they kind of lock eyes, and he was just like, "Don't say nothing, don't say nothing," because they couldn't find her for the rest of the party. So she was like, "I want you to come meet my fiance." And Socks, he over there, he's like, "That's her." So they went starting attacking the girl. They didn't show anything on camera. We heard a lot of things break in and what have you. Like, it was a hot mess up in there, y'all. Like, whew. So somebody comes over there, he was like, "Yeah, ain't nothing but white guilt." That was kind of funny. So Paperboy finds Fernando. He's lying on his bed. And it's like a little glass, separating them. So Paperboy can't put hands on him. He was like, "Okay, you don't want to give me my money? I'm gonna get you back, bro. I got something for you, okay?" Oh, so Ern, he's in one of the hallways and he peeps like a little, low key little slavery piece of artwork. He was like, "You know what? I'm in my feelings right now." So when Will came back to ask him what he thought, he was like, "Yeah, you do have a good idea. And yeah, TJ, he needs a manager." And so he was like, "Well, how much is that?" He said, "It's typically 30%, but I'm gonna give you a little discount, okay? Because I'm like Walmart, I got the rollback prices, all right. So I'm just gonna charge you 25%." And so TJ was like, "You cutting into my bread, bruh." But there's nothing he can say. So yeah, everybody agreed, and y'all, we have a deal, I guess. See how this works out. So Darius and Ern, they kind of talk. And yeah, he was like, "We need to go because things are getting a little unruly." MJ over there getting attacked, and we hear your boy Paperboy. He got a chainsaw to the tree, and he's chopping the tree down almost. And yeah, the guy Fernando, he's over there just from afar, just crying. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like, is he broke? Like, what's going on? Why you done took the man money? So Will came up and apologized for his fiance's, actions. And so apparently MJ and Will was engaged. And he was like, "Don't worry about that. We done." Like, I done called it off because I do not tolerate the racism of it all. I'm like, okay. That was kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for lack of racism, but the whole thing was blown out of proportion. That was the funny part about it. And so everybody, earning them decide to leave. They call a car. And yeah, your boy Socks is the driver. I'm like, Lord, y'all need to get away from him because he is a troublemaker, okay? And yeah, y'all, that was pretty much the episode. It was cute, it was quick, nothing too deep. What did you guys think about it? Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we want to see what episode 4 is giving us because we low-key kind of all over the place. But and good pacing at the same time. So thank you guys for watching. Toodles.